So the paper is turning unconventional in the sense that the questions are turning more application centric, but I don't think it requires a big overhaul if your conceptual clarity is strong enough. This question is not a question of AI ethics. It is actually a question of प्रोफेशनल एथिक्स. इफ़ यू आर एबल टू थिंक ऑफ दिस क्वेश्चन, आप सिर्फ अगर इतना आइडेंटिफाई कर लेते कि ये क्वेश्चन कन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट का है, यू वुड हैव ऑटोमेटिकली written a decent answer to this question. One problem that arises in questions like these is that everyone sort of writes the same kind of answers. Hello everyone. So the UPSC Ethics 2026 paper was held recently. I've already shared my first thoughts on the paper. The paper was a bit unconventional in the sense that instead of UPSC asking direct questions like emotional intelligence, attitude, aptitude, code-based questions are not to be seen much this year. So it had just asked about mini case studies in the 10 markers as well. Code-based questions, maybe it also limited the question to its aspects in governance, etc. So this is how I feel the paper looks a little different this year. Let us discuss a few questions. I'll also give some references from the notes so as to tell you how you could have solved these answers, these questions better with reference to the crash course as well. Now, the first question, again, you can see the language looks like it is a mini case study instead of a direct conceptual question by itself. So, owing to paucity of time, a university professor generates a PhD evaluation report using artificial intelligence and submits it with some modifications. Discuss this from the perspective of accountability and integrity. Owing to paucity of time, professor did not have enough time, so what he did is he evaluated the report of a student using AI. Now instead of putting his own learnings from the past years, his own research, etc., he just used AI to evaluate. This question is not a question of AI ethics. It is actually a question of professional ethics. Why? The values of integrity and accountability are two of the key values and principles of professional ethics. What is professional ethics? It sets moral standards in an occupation, how you must conduct yourself in an occupation. Now, how to think of the answer keeping in mind only these two principles of integrity and accountability, let us discuss that briefly. अब integrity पूछा है towards, integrity of the professor towards who all? The stakeholders, like again the student or the person pursuing the PhD. Why? Because again he may have conducted a great research, but you are not even giving enough time to the efforts that you've put in. You can think of integrity towards his own profession, of using his judgment before evaluating somebody's efforts. Then integrity towards the institution as well, towards the reputation of the institution that he is representing. Same thing you could have analyzed in the context of accountability as well. So when you are writing this question, more than thinking of AI ethics, because AI was a dominant word, you should have thought of professional ethics and you should have tried solving with regards to the different stakeholders or mechanisms that you should have thought in perspective of. So this was the first question. Then this is the second question, again framed like a mini case study. अब in case study like questions में a good way to actually solve them is कि आप ट्राई करो इतना आइडेंटिफाई करने का कि सिलेबस में किस थीम से ये क्वेश्चन पिकअप हुआ है, राइट? Read this question and try to mention down in the comments or something that where is this question actually being picked up from. On the request of his PA, the district magistrate stops the transfer of a school teacher who takes private tuition for his daughter diagnosed with learning disability, right? तो PA के request पे the DM stops the transfer of a teacher. Now he has done this action with complete empathy towards the daughter of this PA. But in this context, discuss the aspects of empathy versus compliance with rules. Now, out of your personal empathy, your emotions for your loved ones, people you care about, what you are doing is letting it affect the compliance with rules or your professional responsibilities. This becomes a question of conflict of interest. There was a case study as well that UPSC is asked related to conflict of interest itself, जहाँ पर पूछा था that a bank manager is giving money out of a dormant account to an employee जिसके किसी पेरेंट को हार्ट सर्जरी के लिए 10 लाख रुपए की रिक्वायरमेंट है. Now if you think in the context, this is a similar sort of a mini case study. The problem is that it has been asked as a 10 मार्कर. तो आपको डिस्कस करना है एम्पैथी वर्सेस कंप्लायंस विथ रूल्स के केस में. बट द अबव, लाइक द ओवरऑल अंडरलाइंग थीम इज दैट ऑफ conflict of interest. Now coming to your notes and how you could have referred to them for writing a good answer to this question is कि कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस क्या हो सकते हैं. पहले आप ये डिस्कस करोगे कि लॉन्ग टर्म में इफ़ यू आर ट्रांसफरिंग और रादर स्टॉपिंग समबडीज ट्रांसफर ओनली बिकॉज कि वो आपके लिए किसी काम का इंसान है, विच मीन्स दैट इन द लॉन्ग टर्म somebody will have to prove their utility to you to be able to stop their transfer. So consequences of conflict of interest. In the long term, it would lead to erosion of public trust, institutional credibility. It would lead to corruption and favoritism, right? So you are favoring certain people on the basis of which you are deciding who is to be transferred, right? Now how do you deal with the conflict of interest? What is the way forward that you could have written in this answer? You could have picked up some pointers from mechanisms to manage a conflict of interest. Again, you could have written about disclosure of interest, that basically coming up to the management, to higher authorities about how this person's transfer, you have personal stakes in not allowing this person's transfer and taking a step back from the case. You should not be the person जो decide करे इस case को. So recusal from decision making in this case. If you were able to think of this question, आप सिर्फ अगर इतना आइडेंटिफाई कर लेते कि ये क्वेश्चन कन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट का है, यू वुड हैव ऑटोमेटिकली रिटन अ डिसेंट आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन. But again, one problem that arises in questions like these is that everyone sort of writes the same kind of answers. तो यहाँ पर डिफरेंशिएट करना अपने आप को थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है from other people as well. Okay, coming to the next question. A business house is working on a project that could displace a forest community from their habitat. Now a business house is working on a project जिसकी वजह से किसी community का displacement हो सकता है. Again, one of the most repetitive themes of your case studies is development versus displacement. Environmental ethics is something that I've been tired of repeating in the applied ethics classes. So this is something that was very much expected. Now if you're someone who looks at this question and feels कि बहुत abruptly पूछा हुआ है, I would advise you to look at the PYQs very well and identify the themes and then try to attempt this question, right? So as an administrative officer of that district, what ethical challenges are you likely to face? So ethical challenges को you could have identified, again the case studies toolkit that we are discussed कि क्या dilemmas exist करते हैं when such a case happens and what should be the way forward in terms of the environmental impact assessment, strategic impact assessment that should be done before allowing this business house to build a project without consultation with the community. Again, a recent context to similar concern we discussed in the context of this Ken Betwa project, जिसके under again the government is a stakeholder there instead of any business house, but we discussed the Jal Satyagraha, Chita Andolan in the value addition classes, that these could have been given as examples. So now a good mechanism should be put into place to be able to solve that ethical challenge as well. तो उसी context में this question has been asked. Now again, using your applied ethics handouts, classes and your case studies toolkit, you could have easily managed a good answer with some ethical perspective, some theoretical perspective like ecocentrism, intergenerational equity, etc. You could have written a good answer to this. So this is some quotes on environmental ethics. Intergenerational equity की बात हो गई, stewardship की बात हो गई, that humans are caretakers not owners. Owing to that, basically without even doing proper environmental impact assessment, you cannot allow any business house to come up with a project. Okay, so this you could have used well in writing a good answer to this question. So you can see clearly that applied ethics dominates the paper completely this year. Medical ethics, that was also something that I had predicted. Reason being the Harish Rana case that was in news recently. So out of medical ethics also, indirectly 2 case studies have been asked by UPSC this year. So if you are someone who tried to read a little bit from the value addition notes, etc., you would have been able to write decent answers to these questions. Come to this question, again a case study. An endangered tribe has developed a severe skeletal deformity. Endangered tribe, which means थोड़ी urgency develop कर दी है, that if you do not provide help in time, it can lead to the extinction of the tribe as well. Then a university research has identified a mineral supplement as a possible remedy. एक mineral supplement है जो एक अच्छी remedy provide कर सकती है, but the clinical trials of that are yet to be conducted. Again, link it with the COVID-19 pandemic and how we dealt with it to be able to give a good answer to this question. कि आपको पता है कि एक प्रॉब्लम है जो सिर्फ एक endangered tribe को है, you do not have proper medicine yet. You have some supplement that may work, but you do not know the proper side effects of that supplement that can be there. What is the question asking? Should the DM use this research on the tribe? Discuss this from the perspective of medical and administrative ethics. So we discussed medical ethics. Again, जो बेसिक टेनेट्स है मेडिकल एथिक्स के, अगर आप सिर्फ वो अप्लाई करके इस आंसर को लिख दो, इट वुड मेक अप फॉर अ ग्रेट आंसर. नाउ व्हाट आर द बेसिक टेनेट्स लाइक वी डिस्कस्ड इन मल्टीपल क्लासेस ऑफ मेडिकल एथिक्स? फर्स्ट इज beneficence, basically acting in the best interest of the patient. Now, should a DM allow basically a supplement जिसका clinical trial ही नहीं हुआ है, are you acting in the best interest of the patient? COVID-19 में, when we did not know the potential side effects of the vaccines that were yet being tried, what we did was we tried to use antibiotics to basically help the patients that were suffering from COVID-19. So something like that could have been suggested in this case as well. Then non-malfeasance, do not harm principle. What does it say? That avoid unnecessary procedures or over medication. Do not do harm until you do not know the potential consequences of something, potential side effects of something. You should not administer any kind of supplement to that tribe. The most important principle is that of autonomy. Even after you know that this is the best possible supplement for the tribe, you should still allow them the autonomy of not going for that supplement in any case. So autonomy is one big factor. Owing to their cultural rights, owing to their dietary practices, you should try to allow them their autonomy of deciding for or against the supplement itself, right? So these are some of the tenets जिसके basis पे you could have analyzed and written a good answer to this question. I hope this is clear. There's a quote as well that you could have mentioned, wherever the art of medicine is loved, there is also a love of humanity, right? Coming to this question, discuss how national security can be balanced with concerns of human rights. National security, which means safeguarding the best interest of the citizens, must not come at the cost of their own human rights violation. Think of this in the context of AFSPA. Think of this in the context of UAPA. Now, India is one of the few countries that has these kind of laws that have been, basically there have been concerns with human rights violations as well under these laws. तो अब इसको ethically, ethics के perspective से आप इसको कैसे analyze कर सकते थे? Think of Hobbes' social contract theory. Again, go back to your syllabus. Philosophical basis of governance. Kautilyan Yog Shema, if you remember. Kautilyan Yog Shema, that the ultimate purpose of the king is the welfare of the public at large. Hobbes, who said कि एक social contract है between the citizens and the government, the purpose of which is to preserve the rights of everyone equally and not violation of those. So in that regard, you could have discussed this very question, that national security के terms पे you should not curb the free speech, the autonomy of the individuals themselves, right? So this is how you could have written this question. Then the next question, I could not have emphasized more on IR ethics. Again, something or the other is directly asked from this very theme of national interest versus the ethical interest, or strategic interest versus national self-interest of a country. In IR, ethical considerations are often subjugated to the strategic interests of nation states. Discuss this from an ethical perspective. Why is this being said? Because in IR, it is a system of anarchy. Basically, there is no government, there are no rules. So, which is why ethical considerations take a backseat and strategic interests of every country takes a front seat. Now, this could have been asked in the context of India purchasing Russian oil, but you have to justify that when we did so, when we prioritize our strategic interests, we also said, PM Modi said that this is not an era for war. So we also stood by our ethical obligations of never standing by war, right? And this could have also been analyzed in the context of US. If you remember, indirectly UPSC has asked the question that US sometimes meddles with the matters of some countries. जैसे अभी Middle East के context में you can think that in wanting to safeguard its own interests of energy resources, oil, what is it doing? It is basically meddling in the political regimes of the Middle Eastern countries, promoting violence, promoting wars in the Middle East, right? एक और क्वेश्चन यूपीएससी ने इसी कंटेक्स्ट में पूछा था दैट यूएस फ्यूल्स वॉर्स इन ऑर्डर टू बेसिकली प्रमोट इट्स ओन वेपन इंडस्ट्रीज दैट कैन थ्राइव ऑन the wars that happen in the world at large. So if you were able to identify these very themes, आप बहुत अच्छा perform कर सकते थे, at least in questions में, that were largely comparatively direct than how other questions have been phrased in a more case study format. So this was a more or less direct questions. Let me show you from the classes that we held on applied ethics. We discussed state responsibility in sovereignty, that even though the state is all powerful, it is the responsibility of the state to protect its own citizens. And if the state fails to protect its own citizens, it is the responsibility of the international community to protect them. ठीक है, तो इस context में we could have discussed. Even in IR, when a country is even going for war, the intention should be very just. You could take the context of the example of the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War. India intervened with the right intention on humanitarian grounds. So this is how you could have discussed this question through and through, right? Let us discuss some more questions. Then in what ways can an Indian administrative officer apply Gandhian notion of trusteeship to ensure fairness in governance? Ab trusteeship, all of us read it. When we read the lessons from the lives of great administrators, reformers, तब हम पढ़ते हैं that you do not own the power as an IAS, you do not own the power, but rather you hold the power to serve the welfare of the public at large. Again, you could have applied Kautilyan Yoga Shema as well to understand this question better. Now trusteeship, trustee who thinks in the best interest of the members. तो अब इसमें you can also interlink it, गांधी के जो बाकी ideals है उनसे you could have interlinked it. For example, think of the context of Gandhian talisman, act in the बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द मोस्ट वल्नरेबल पर्सन. तो कोई भी स्कीम है उसका एडवांटेज, उसमें फेयरनेस होनी चाहिए, दैट एवरी वन शुड बी एबल टू बेसिकली यूटिलाइज इट in the best manner possible. For example, any scheme that exists for the vulnerable section, the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, the Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat scheme, etc. So trusteeship principles, social sector schemes you could have shown to basically showcase your understanding of this question, right? Then what you could have also applied is from the notes like we have discussed. Look at this principle, trusteeship. A quote on trusteeship: the rich must live simply so that the poor may simply live. As it is, this quote must have been used. Then relevance as well was being mentioned in your notes, where you could have picked up that as per the Oxfam report, 10% of India's population holds 40% of the wealth. So again, you could have used this as it is. You could have linked it with the welfare of all, or Sarvodaya of Gandhi. Recall the face of the poorest and the weakest while deciding on anything. So again, social security schemes, कोई भी government policy decisions लेने से पहले एक fairness के sense में एक trusteeship, Sarvodaya, welfare of all, these are the things that must be kept in mind before taking any decision. Again, some of these examples have been written here as well. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana is a modern example of Sarvodaya, aiming to bring basic banking services to every household. So as it is, a lot of this from the notes was replicable in the paper itself. Again, I hope that this helped you to answer in a better manner, right? Let us discuss few more questions. Again, in a mini case study format, we have this question. Let us read it. Citing the serious adverse effects of long-term medication, long-term medication के possible serious side effects को देखते हुए, a doctor convinces the family of a female patient, not the female patient but the family of a female patient, for a surgery. This led to the patient reluctantly consent for the surgery. She gave her consent but very reluctantly, though her original choice was to opt for medication, right? Her original choice, she wanted to go for medication, but because the doctor sort of convinced the family, she had to go for a surgery or agree for a surgery. Explain the concept of paternalism and beneficence by analyzing the doctor's action. Again, something like I showed you, this is a value or a key tenet of medical ethics itself. Now, there is a common difference or commonality between these key terms. Beneficence, acting in the best interest of someone. Beneficence मतलब आप किसी का अच्छा सोच के उनके towards काम कर रहे हो. What is paternalism mean? That you think that you know their best interest so well that you are not even considering their own choice, autonomy in anything, right? For example, our parents forcing us to pick up science stream after 10th standard because they think that they know our interests better than our own, or that because maybe science skills has better employable opportunities. So this is how you could have sort of explained the definition first of these concepts. जहाँ पर where you are asked to explain the concepts, instead of going for a quote, instead of going for some example, directly try to hit the demand by writing a core definition closest to whatever you understand from these terms. Okay, so explain the concepts by analyzing the doctor's action, and then you could have given instance of how would paternalism look. Paternalism मतलब जैसे आपने in this case reflects of paternalism, that you decided on what should happen without even thinking of the patient's mental health, patient's fear about going about a surgery. Beneficence, however, would have made sure कि आप in the best interest आप उनको suggest करो surgery, but you also tell her openly the side effects of both and then let her take a free will based choice, right? So this is what you could have discussed based upon. A very underlying theme that you could have also picked up in this question is that of the negative effects of persuasion combined with the basic tenets of medical ethics. This is how it can ultimately lead to undermining the autonomy of a patient. So this you could have written while writing the negative consequences of paternalism, in fact, right? So again, a lot of your concepts जो आपने directly पढ़ा है ethics में, that could have been utilized, but you had to keep in mind कि question syllabus के किस keyword से, किस theme से, किस theory part से link कर रहा है. If you were able to do that, I think you would have written a brilliant paper. Then we only had one code-based question. Now, the reason I like code-based questions in ethics is because they are very open-ended. तो आप बहुत सारे बिना किसी restrictions के examples लिख पाते हो code-based questions में, या you can draw any kind of analysis that you want in those code-based questions. Sadly, this year we only had one code-based questions. Let us read it and try to understand what it means. Shakespeare in Henry IV says, "The arms are fair when the intent of bearing them is just." What ethical implications does this have in governance? How it used to ask the questions earlier was, what does this quote mean to you in the present context? This year, the depth has also been reduced. The dimension it wants to ask is only in governance. That इस quote का मतलब क्या है? That too only in the governance, only in the aspect of governance, right? So what is the meaning of this quote? First of all, the arms are fair. Arms are fair when the intent of bearing them is just. The arms are fair, or rather, if you want to interpret it as the power, the legitimacy that the government has. एक गवर्नमेंट की लेजिटिमेसी कहाँ से आती है? नॉट फ्रॉम बियरिंग आर्म्स बट फ्रॉम द इंटेंट ऑफ बीइंग जस्ट, राइट? सो द पीपल विल ओनली अबाइड बाय द रूल्स ओनली व्हेन दे फील दैट the rules are being just. The intent, the arms are fair when the intent of bearing them is just. You could have also linked it with Kantian philosophy of goodwill as well, right? Now this question can be thought from the perspective of AFSPA, from the perspective of UAPA, etc. So I think this would allow you to write the ethical implications in governance, which means that government policies, justice must not only be done but should always seem to be done as well. So that is what the ethical implication of this question is. In governance, do not just literally take it as arms, but rather the powers the government holds, the legitimacy of the laws that it derives. You can talk of this question in the context of the farm laws that had to be taken back because of the public protest as well. So you can talk of this in the context of the different protests, the different controversial laws that the government has, right? Coming to the next question, again one of the very few direct questions that UPSC has asked this year. Efficiency versus effectiveness पर एक question है. Efficiency is doing things right versus effectiveness is doing the right thing. Effectiveness is basically analyzing कि जो चीज़ आप efficiently पढ़ रहे हो, is it actually reaping good results? उसके results क्या हैं वो analyze करने को we will call effectiveness. How do you strike a balance between the two to enhance productivity? For example, there was this scheme that government rolled out, which was the Anemia Mukt Bharat scheme, under which it made sure कि सबको doorstep पे they are getting the basic supplements, iron, folic acid, etc. But the effectiveness of the scheme was not so much at the time. Reason being कि कुछ tribes थे who did not like to consume the iron in folic, in a more tablet-based format. So what the government did was it fortified these basic supplements under the Anemia Mukt Bharat in their staple diets that the tribes were consuming, जिसके वजह से the efficiency and the effectiveness could be balanced. So efficiency would ensure availability of something. Effectiveness or at large would ensure that everyone is able to reap the benefits and the results of it are also positive throughout. ठीक है, तो जैसे आउटकम बेस्ड बजटिंग होती है, दैट इज हाउ यू कुड हैव एनालाइज्ड द इफेक्टिवनेस ऑफ समथिंग. सो हाउ डू यू स्ट्राइक अ बैलेंस? यू कैन डू अ पीरियोडिक रिव्यू ऑफ द assets that the government is building. You can do some outcome based auditing of certain schemes that the government is rolling out. Again, a very much governance centric question. That is one more thing that we're able to see this year, that a lot of emphasis is on governance centered question, right? Instead of indirectly asking you code based questions जो आप किसी भी field में apply कर सकते हो, focus is now on the direct application of every question on governance, in governance, right? I think that is a good thing as well. Then this question, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had cautioned that employing civil disobedience within a constitutional democracy equates to endorsing anarchy. If you have heard his Grammar of Anarchy speech, you would be able to make sense of it. Constitutional morality, जिस पे पहले एक question आ चुका है from UPSC in ethics paper itself, you would be able to draw close linkage from this question as well. कि that basically constitutional morality says that even though you might not agree with the government, you have to showcase dissent in the form of acting within the forms of the constitution. जो आपको channels दिए गए हैं legitimate, like free speech, like judiciary, like public interest litigation, elections, etc. These are the mechanisms that you must use to sort of dissent with the government instead of basically endorsing anarchy. Right? अब क्वेश्चन क्या पूछा है? हाउ शुड मॉडर्न डेमोक्रेसीज navigate the ethical dilemmas posed by civil disobedience movements that aim to promote social justice against policies that may raise genuine concerns. How do you solve this question? Again, using basic tenets of constitutional morality, that first you should exhaust all the institutional channels that exist. Second, again, the intent should also matter. You can also put can't in this, that the intent of why people are protesting, why that civil disobedience is happening should also be noble, right? It should not be it should not be from the intent to cause some disruption in the governance systems, right? So that can be mentioned as a good answer to this question. I think this brings us to the end of the discussion of the 2026 ethics paper. If you are someone who's preparing for 2027, I would highly recommend you to basically solve this paper yourself at home and analyze if you're able to apply the concepts that you've learned in the basic theory part. Right? So the paper is turning unconventional in the sense that the questions are turning more application centric, but I don't think it requires a big overhaul if your conceptual clarity is strong enough. So what you need to focus at large is conceptual clarity and understanding in depth of the issues, and try to apply it around the themes that basically, or the issues that arise amongst us every day. Thank you so much.